Chapter 21 Making a Fuss. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Fang Hao did not choose immediately, but opened the map to check. After swallowing Zhuang Hong's Book of Lords, according to the rules, Fang Hao had already taken over Zhuang Hong's territory and became the new lord. The Book of Lords is more like a certificate of lords. After being swallowed, it has the decision-making power of the territory here. On the map, the east of his territory shows the location of Zhuang Hong's territory. It's really not that close. With his current strength, it is impossible to divide his troops into consideration. Especially Zhuang Hongke said that the territory is very close to the tribe of orcs. In name, it became an affiliated village of the orcs. After thinking about it for a while, I finally chose to abandon it. The important thing is to develop steadily. He has a 100-fold increase and can be recaptured in the future. If you abandon the affiliated territory, you will get 80% of the territory resources, and 50% of the territory building resources will be returned. The light flickered, a large number of supplies appeared and were sent from Zhuang Hong's territory, placed in an open space within the territory. On the map of the Book of Lords, the territory that had been lit up was once again shrouded in fog, making it impossible to observe. The Lord is upgraded to the second level, marching speed plus 1%, resource collection plus 2%, and the number of daily speeches on the regional channel plus 10. Unlock new blueprints: torch making blueprint, ranch building blueprint, lumberyard building blueprint. Fang Hao didn't know if he was the first to kill other lords and devour the Book of Lords, but what is certain is that most people do not yet understand that the Book of Lords can devour and upgrade this rule. In addition to obtaining the other party's resources, the Book of Lords can also be upgraded to unlock more functions and permissions. The increase in marching speed and collection speed is no less than the temptation of top-quality equipment. If this rule is made public, it may intensify the battle between the lords. Lords who do not want to take part in battles will also be wary of others coveting them. Newly unlocked blueprints in the Book of Lords. It is also a small gain. Zhuang Hong is a subordinate territory of the orcs. In order to better mine resources for the orcs, the tribe also provided some funding for them. These include drawings of facilities such as pastures and logging farms. Zhuang Hong did not disappoint the orcs either. It is true that a lot of resources are mined for it every day. Now it has been directly abandoned by Fang Hao, and the blueprint has also been integrated into Fang Hao's Book of Lords. When viewing the Book of Lords, the regional channel is still scrolling this information constantly. And one of them has something to do with Zhang Bin, who can always salvage skeletons with fishing nets. Brother, sell me a few sets of leather armor, so you won't be able to use it. Yes, Mr. Zhang Bin, sell the extra to us. Brother Zhang Bin, there are many beasts outside the village. You can give them 2 sets. When we meet, they will treat you well, okay? Brother Bin is awesome. Do you accept my younger brother? Fang Hao looked at the channel and shouted that the big guy is awesome. Slightly stunned, following the chat log and scrolling up, I found the reason for the matter. It turned out that Zhang Bin got several leather helmets on the bones of the fishing net. He simply took the militia up the river to find it. It was quite rewarding, and I got more than 10 pieces of leather helmets posted on the channel to show off, and the scene just now appeared. A bunch of people are shouting that the big guy is awesome. Moreover, because of Fang Hao's silence for the past 2 days, then someone drew a line between Zhang Bin and Fang Hao, thinking that they were the second freshman. It has even surpassed Fang Hao. See it all? Fang Hao could only shake his head with a wry smile. These people are too unseemly. Just a few pieces of whiteboard armor. Do you need to refresh the screen? Moreover, these whiteboard equipment were dropped by his skeleton and rushed down the river. If these people knew, he had hundreds of orc armor and a purple suit, will it blow up the channel? He also shouted that he was arrogant. No, it seems to have been called a few times before. Right now, the private chat sounded. It was Dong Jiayue. After disappearing for 2 days, Fang Hao suspected that she was in danger. Brother Hao, are you still alive? What are you talking about? Fang Hao was flipping through the chat, so he responded quickly. Brother Hao, I got a few more shadow stones here. Do you still want it? Except for Fang Hao, other people really can't use the shadow stone. Only Fang Hao was willing to exchange resources. Yes, how much do you have? Fang Hao replied immediately. His territory is developing well, but he has not found a way to obtain the shadow stone. and Dong Jiayue became the only way for him to obtain the Shadow Stone. I have 5 of them, let's trade them for you. After that, the designated transaction was listed directly. What do you want to change? Or food? Fang Hao said. The reward for the advanced weapon last time is fine. The Shadow Stone is useless to me, not to mention I have some gains. Dong Jiayue replied again, last time, she advanced some weapons from Fang Hao, this transaction is to repay these weapons. Fang Hao smiled slightly, but did not refuse, and continued to ask, so, those weapons still played some role, and it went well. As he said that, he placed 150 units of meat in the Shadow Stone exchange bar, it didn't take advantage of Dong Jiayue either. It's all pointing to these weapons. Then, Dong Jiayue gave a general description. Her experience exploring ancient tombs, the ancient tomb is divided into separate tomb chambers, the first 2 tomb chambers are relatively simple, and there is no danger, got the Shadow Stone from it, as well as some blueprints, but the next tomb was not so easy, and some undead skeletons appeared, thanks to the weapons and equipment supported by Fang Hao, otherwise it would be difficult to continue exploring inward. That's good. Pay attention to safety. Only by living can you develop steadily. Fang Hao's tone was like an old father. In the ancient tomb mentioned by Dong Jiayue, only ordinary undead skeletons have appeared at present, low-level skeletons have low intelligence and only perform basic actions, it's not hard to beat, especially skeletons without a command. Fang Hao's skeleton is like that, but his advantages are also very obvious, with a large number and unified command, otherwise, it is difficult for these skeletons with low intelligence to exert effective combat. Effectiveness. By the way, Brother Hao, do you have any armor? Anything is fine. Dong Jiayue asked again. Yes, do you need armor? Fang Hao replied. Ah. Really, that's great. Dong Jiayue exclaimed, while contacting Fang Hao, she was also contacting Zhang Bin. After all, the channel is talking about Zhang Bin getting a lot of armor, it's just that Dong Jiayue's offer did not satisfy Zhang Bin and did not reach a deal. After chatting with Fang Hao, he asked casually, I never thought that Fang Hao really had it. How much do you need? I'll prepare it for you. Fang Hao said. Chapter 22, Building the Ranch. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. Dong Jiayue looked at the private chat and did not respond for a long time. She never thought that Fang Hao's family was so rich, he sells huge amounts of food every day, and now he not only has iron weapons, but also armors, especially when asked in a big way, how much do you need? I'm ready, you know. Zhang Bin picked up some leather armor, and he has been sought after by a large number of people. Now open the regional channel, and some people are shouting that the big guy is awesome, and when Zhang Bin picks it up, he will sell it to himself first. If these people know, Fang Hao not only has armor, but also weapons, will the regional channel shout explode. 7 sets, shall I change the line with food and wood? Dong Jiayue said. Fang Hao looked at the mountains of wood and stone resources behind him, he replied, it's better to pay you in advance, and when you're done exploring, you'll have to pay it back to me when you get something good. He has no shortage of basic materials, if he wants to, Fang Hao can use a 100-fold increase to make weapons and armors to exchange materials, but it's really not necessary. There are too many resources in the territory. Already behind the Lord's wooden house, an open space was encircled with a wooden fence specifically used to stack these basic resources. What he needs now are special resources, special props, or various blueprints. That's fine, thank you Brother Hao. Dong Jiayue quickly thanked. She was a little fortunate that she knew Fang Hao. I'll put it on the shelf, you can confirm it when the time comes. It is good. Fang Hao will 6 simple leather armor and leather helmet, 1 orc iron armor and iron helmet. Orc armor belongs to the 2nd level armor, and it is naturally worn by Dong Jiayue. After all, the Shadow Stone will depend on her in the future. I'm going, Brother Hao no. Even if he was prepared, he couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw the orc armor. The two ended their conversation and went about their own business. Fang Hao returned to the front of the trophy, pick up the bloodthirsty breastplate. The bloodthirsty breastplate is a metal plate armor inside, and the outermost layer is covered with a layer of embossed red leather, bright red, delicate, it is extremely heavy to start with. Holding the breastplate is like carrying a heavy iron block with his body. Even if he was put in it, he couldn't fight. Fang Hao cast God's appearance, again, controlled a skeleton soldier, and tried to wear this equipment, but the situation is the same as himself. The equipment is too heavy, which affects the normal actions and battles. There is a difference between reality and games. In the game, all equipment can be worn. In reality, you have to measure your physical strength. Wearing this equipment is like carrying a cow on your body, making it difficult to fight. Damn it. With 10 pounds of protein powder, I can't reach the power of an orc. Fang Hao cursed. This equipment can only be put away first, in the future, when your physical strength reaches the standard, or if you have a higher level of arms, you will be equipping. Let the clothes that the skeleton general come to wash and dry by the river, and he walks out of the territory. Several newly unlocked drawings. It also needs to be produced as soon as possible. First class pasture, timber 1000, stone 800, thatch 500, hemp rope 200. Outside the territory, a flat lot was chosen. Build is selected. A wooden fence encircled the open space, and a simple wooden shed was built in the middle. It's just that the pasture is still empty, and there are no animals. It seems that next time I will catch some gentle animals alive and raise them. Resolve the construction of the ranch. Continue to find the construction site of the lumber mill. I wanted to build a logging farm in a kobold camp before. After careful consideration, this plan has been abandoned for now. The orc horde's problems have not been eradicated. Still more stable. Choose a location near the woods and build a lumber mill. Level 1 lumberyard, timber 2000, stone 1200, thatch 200, hemp rope 550, iron 120. Description: logging farm area, wood collection efficiency plus 5%. Choose to build directly. A lumber mill appeared before me. The skeletons of laborers who were cutting trees nearby began to work around the lumber mill, arranged a few skeleton soldiers to guard the building to prevent wild beasts from attacking, and then returned to the territory. 3 drawings have been completed and 2 have been constructed. There was also a torch, which Fang Hao felt was unnecessary. He rested directly at night. And the skeletons belonged to the undead creatures, and there was no need for torch lighting to work at night. When you need it in the future, it's not too late to make it. In addition to blueprints and equipment, the biggest gain is more than 1,700 squirming spines. This also means that as long as Fang Hao is willing, you can recruit an army of 100,000 skeletons, enough to leave ordinary lords far behind. At present, Fang Hao does not plan to recruit. There are too many skeleton soldiers of 100,000, but it is easy to provoke some unnecessary troubles, not conducive to the development of the current territory. Pack everything up. It's still early. You can also continue to explore the map. Fang Hao cast God's appearance again and entered the body of the skeleton soldier. The battle with the orcs is just the beginning. The next day will be even more dangerous. If you want to live steadily in this world, exploration and development cannot be stagnant. Set off with 2,000 skeleton soldiers and continue to explore the surrounding map. Beyond the southern col, trees and vegetation grow thicker. He drew out the iron sword from his waist and chopped off the branches and thorns in front of him. Fang Hao wrote down this place, which can be used as a preparatory wood collection point. As I thought to myself, my footsteps suddenly stopped. Subconsciously squat down and keep secret. All the skeleton soldiers behind them also stopped, and although they did not crouch down, they stood there in a daze. In an open space in front, a young one-horned sheep was walking and grazing with its head down. There are many wild beasts in the forest, and there is plenty of meat. It's easy to come across greasy or roaming beasts. Fang Hao bent down and looked under the belly of the one-horned sheep. Okay. Mother, there will be goat milk to drink in the future. Pastures have just been established, and young beasts can be captured and raised, then he can drink goat's milk. Quick, surround it, grab the live one, and don't hurt it. Fang Hao turned around and explained to the skeleton behind him, for fear that these upright subordinates would rush up to kill each one with one knife. The stunned skeletons began to slowly disperse after receiving the order. Gradually surrounded, the lamb, who was grazing leisurely, moved its ears and suddenly raised its head to look in all directions. The next moment, he suddenly fled in one direction. Quick! Grab it! Fang Hao shouted. The skeletons on all sides were not hiding either, chasing the fleeing one-horned sheep. Boom! A muffled sound. A skeleton trying to stop the one-horned sheep collided in the middle of the chest, and the whole body flew backwards as if hit by a cannonball, broken bush branches all the way, looks very embarrassed. Catching alive is much more difficult than killing. Chase, catch it alive. The one-horned sheep ran in front, and a group of skeletons chased after him. 20 minutes at most, the one-horned sheep completely disappeared. In front of him stood an ancient castle surrounded by thorns and roses, Yinfeng Castle. Chapter 23, Yinfeng Castle. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. The castle seems to be old. The towering gray city walls are covered with dark green vines, gives an old, eerie feel. Where the one-horned sheep went has been forgotten. All attention has long been attracted by the ancient castle in front of him. He counted the 2,000 skeleton soldiers who were not lost, which gave him more confidence. Open them. Fang Hao ordered. Squeak. With dust and harsh sounds, under the combined force of the skeletons, the model door was slowly pushed open. No matter whether this castle is dangerous or not, it is so close to your own territory that you have to check it out. Moreover, in the dense woods, such a lonely castle suddenly appeared. No matter how you think about it, it makes you feel uneasy. As the door opened, the scene inside also appeared in front of Fang Hao. Behind the gate is the courtyard of the castle. In the courtyard, fallen leaves are everywhere, and the weeds are far away. Weeds surrounded the tombstones and tangled the vines. Damn it! It really isn't a sunroom building. Who would have thought that the courtyard of this ancient castle would be a circle of graves? At this time, it can also be found that there is a city wall in front of the courtyard, connected by stone steps and masonry archways. Suddenly, Fang Hao's eyes were attracted by the gray-white spar next to the tombstone in front of him. Shadow stone. Fang Hao subconsciously exclaimed. The spar not far away is exactly the same as the shadow stone that he and Dong Jiayue traded, and Dong Jiayue also mentioned that this spar was obtained in an ancient tomb. It is somewhat the same as the scene in front of him. Careful observation, there are several nearby. Go get those shadow stones. Fang Hao said. A skeleton next to him came out immediately and walked towards the shadow stone along the green brick corridor lined with weeds. The skeleton soldier walked to the tombstone, just about to get the shadow stone. Suddenly, the ground in the courtyard shook violently like boiling water. Immediately afterwards, a rotting corpse full of maggots broke through the ground and crawled out. I knew it. Fang Hao said in a low voice. According to what Dong Jiayue said, when he obtained the shadow stone, he encountered some undead creatures. He had guessed that maybe the same situation would occur here. Really want what to come? Fang Hao called back the skeleton soldiers who entered and stood at the entrance, watching the corpses crawling out. It is unknown how many years these bodies have been buried in the ground, messy hair mixed with grass and dirt. The skin has long since decayed and exudes an unpleasant stench. Staring at the already white eyes, the boss with his mouth open seemed to be making an angry roar. At this moment, Fang Hao was a little fortunate that his troops were skeletons. At least it looks clean and doesn't have a rotten smell. Carrion, First Order. Description: the cannon fodder in the Eternal Night Legion. The body is rotten and fragile, and the fighting ability of the individual is very low, so they will form in groups, proving that they have a great threat. Eternal Night, it sounds a bit majestic. In Fang Hao's thinking, the number of carrion has increased to more than 100 people. Watching the carrion come towards him with his weapon high, Fang Hao said tentatively, everyone is dead, do you want to sit down and talk? The carrion didn't respond, but his feet picked up speed again. He rushed towards Fang Hao and the others. Go, kill them. Fang Hao ordered. The skeleton soldiers were killed. Fang Hao also slashed towards the carrion in front of him. Do. The carrion did not hide, and let Fang Hao slash his forehead with a sword, splitting a crack in the skull. Even if the skull cracked, nothing happened. The machete in his hand slashed down and slashed towards Fang Hao. Fang Hao dodged to dodge. The shield in his hand slammed into the opponent's head, and cast, shield strike. Boom. With a muffled sound, the carrion's body staggered and fell to the ground for a brief stagnation. Fang Hao saw the opportunity, and slashed several times against the neck with the iron sword in his hand, and chopped off the head. Totally dead, and the battle of other skeletons is also nearing the end. Fang Hao's fighting style has always been to bully the less. There are already many skeleton soldiers. It is equipped with iron swords, wooden shields, and various armors. Where can these carrion just turned out of the land be compared? After going up, a slash will destroy all the carrion. Clean up the battlefield and collect the shadow stones and equipment. Fang Hao said loudly. The skeletons acted immediately, collecting shadow stones, and ripping off the equipment from the carrion. Soon, the loot was collected, 5 shadow stones. 1 trace of death, 122 broken single-edged knives. Inner city key. The harvest of 5 shadow stones made Fang Hao very happy, an important material for undead construction. Its value is more important than getting equipment. The specific function of the traces of death is not clear, but it is also a special material, which is very rare. After several battles in succession, Fang Hao's side relied on crowd tactics to forcefully drown the other side. At the same time, Fang Hao is also aware of his own shortcomings, that is, the ranks of the troops are too low. Often a second-tier arm can fight with 4 or 5 first-tier soldiers without falling behind. Therefore, the rank of arms is particularly important in a battle. The only way to improve the troop is to increase the troop building. Broken single-edged sword. Category, weapon, damage, first level damage. Description, corroded and broken single-edged knife, beware of tetanus. Good guy. Fang Hao suddenly felt a little fortunate. Fortunately, neither he nor the skeleton soldiers were human. Otherwise, it is really an ordinary human lord. With a group of human troops, this damage is not high. With bacterial attack, who can suffer? In the current environment, there are a few people who know medical skills. I am afraid that few people will be able to survive some illnesses and infections. Key, Yinfeng Castle. Category, prop, description. The key to the second floor of Yinfeng Castle. It has been silent for a long time. The sleeping servants of the Eternal Night are looking forward to the next game with you. Game. Everyone is a bad person, and it's not certain who is playing tricks. Fang Hao was not frightened at all. The other party called it a game, so why didn't he take this place as a copy? Your own god is present on the skeleton soldiers, isn't it controlling the characters to spawn monsters? He should be more qualified, using the word game. Assemble, prepare to enter the next map. Fang Hao said hello. The skeleton soldiers gathered beside Fang Hao. Climb the stone steps to the door leading to the second floor, insert the key and turn it slightly. The rusted metal door opened, the crowd went in. The first layer is not very different from the second layer, but it is not the city wall that leads to the next floor, but the gate of the ancient castle. The ancient castle is very western, built entirely of stone, and the walls are covered with white roses, some of which have even spread into the windows, making it even more gloomy. Take people in stride. This time, it was not the carrion on the first floor who greeted them, but the undead with spears. Zombie Spearmen, Tier 2, Ability, Combat, Skill, Stab, Resist the charge. Description, Zombie Spearmen are not clumsy rotting corpses, they have been baptized by the Eternal Night and will do their duty to the utmost. These zombies are more complete than carrion bodies. He was clad in rotting armor and held a metal spear in his hand. Sitting up from the tomb, after being silent for a while, he silently began to stand up in formation, erecting a flag that was tattered and looked down upon for a long time. When they were ready, they looked at Fang Hao and the others, and started to advance with a spear. Disperse and prepare for battle. Chapter 24, Bloodthirsty Bat Wolf. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Spearmen, not as clumsy as carrion, although it is still rigid, it silently follows the previous organization and tactics. Such was the scene before him. The spearmen independently formed a square formation and stabbed their spears to form a frontal spear formation. Some are like a scaled-down version of the Macedonian phalanx, or a simplified version. Disperse, surround them, disperse. Fang Hao roared. After the skeleton soldiers were stunned for a while, they all dispersed, surrounding the phalanx of zombies in the middle. There are not many zombie lancers, around 300 people. Seeing the enemy surrounded him, he stopped the attack and became suspicious. The direction that the spear is aimed at keeps changing, like a watch needle that moves the word, turning the direction in place. Sure enough, there is no command. Fang Hao said, but also with emotion. Zombie spearmen, although they can form a formation for the first time, their intelligence is still not high. In the absence of command, facing the enemy's siege, you don't know how to deal with it. The formation kept changing direction. Fang Hao didn't talk too much. Seeing the moment, he ordered immediately. Attack. Woohoo! The skeleton soldiers attacked, swooping on their targets like wild beasts from all directions. When attacking from the front, the protruding spear flew high, the tip of the spear stuck in the skeleton's rib, and it was lifted directly into the sky, expressing the anger in their hearts with their teeth and claws, and the remaining 3 directions of the gun array. The skeleton soldiers approached, and the swords slashed out. Fang Hao attacked from the side, grabbed the turned spear, and looked at the opponent's neck with the iron sword in his hand. Puff! The iron sword smoothly slashed the opponent's neck, and the dark blood, like viscous syrup, hung over the wound without dripping. I rely on. Fang Hao cursed in a low voice. He tilted his head to avoid the opponent's attack, and kept slashing the iron sword in his hand. The wound on his neck grew bigger and bigger, until it severed his bones. The battle was a little fierce. Zombie spearmen belong to the second tier, and in terms of basic attributes, they are higher than skeleton soldiers. When all the zombie spearmen were wiped out, there were more than 30 casualties among the skeleton soldiers. Even the soldier under Fang Hao's control had his left shoulder rib torn off by a gun. He was slumped, unable to hold the wooden shield. Fortunately, the body of the skeleton could not feel pain, otherwise he would have suffered. Clean up the battlefield. Damn, these zombies are quite fierce. Fang Hao shouted loudly, tore off a piece of the zombie's rotten flag, and tried to wrap it around his ribs. The skeleton soldiers began to sweep the battlefield. Supplies are collected. 7 shadow stones. 2 traces of death. Equipment blueprint. Iron spear. 324 rusty iron spears. Castle key. In addition to the shadow stone, the trace of death, also obtain the iron spear blueprint. In this world, lords are given the rules of production. Drawings are especially important. You don't need to be a designer, and you don't need to be a weapon blacksmith. As long as you have blueprints, you can forge the props and equipment you want. Even if you get more than 300 iron spears, it is not as precious as this blueprint. Organize all the loot. Come to the castle. After inserting the key, let the skeleton soldiers work together to push it away. Enter the castle. Fang Hao's eyes widened instantly. Unlike the underworld outside, the castle hall is unusually bright and luxurious. It was like being in a small palace. The smooth ground glows, the wooden wall panels of the walls are decorated with exquisite patterns, and the spar on the copper lampstand glows with long light. Let the castle still be bright. Together with the inside of the fort is a red carpet. As the carpet extends, every few steps, there is a stone pillar. The stone pillars are carved with lifelike patterns, and at the top of each stone pillar, there is a huge creature that has always been resembling a bat. Close your eyes and stand still, like a sculpture. The bat is the size of a full-grown beast, with a huge body covered in twisted muscles. Through the gaps in the fleshy wings, giant claws and sharp, curved nails can be seen. There is no need for any natural alertness, let alone to recognize this creature. After 2 rounds of battles outside, I also know that this is a new monster. However, these bat creatures kept their eyes closed and motionless, making Fang Hao unsure whether they fell asleep or died directly. Go and explore the way, Fang Hao said. The skeleton soldiers in the front row stepped out and walked along the red carpet. Just a few steps away, suddenly, the giant bat on the stone pillar suddenly opened its eyes, let out a howl, and jumped down from the stone pillar. The wide fleshy wings spread out, and with the help of the speed of gliding, they caught the advancing skeleton soldiers into the air. Before the skeleton soldiers could react, they were torn apart by giant claws. Scattered bones fell from the air and scattered all over the place. Bloodthirsty bat wolf, 5th order. Ability, combat. Skills, flying. Bloodthirsty. Description: when the bloodthirsty bat wolves show their sharp fangs, it proves that they have completely lost their minds. They will tear their flesh, knock the bones and suck the marrow, and satisfy their hobbies in the most cruel way. When the manta wolf swoops down and approaches a certain distance, Fang Hao also saw its properties. When I saw that it was a 5th order unit, my heart suddenly froze. Why did this level of arms suddenly increase so much? The first bat wolf tore the skeleton soldiers into pieces, and the rest of the bloodthirsty bat wolves opened their eyes one after another. When the scarlet eyes containing anger and bloodthirsty looked at Fang Hao's group of intruders, roared one after another, jumped off the stone pillar, and slaughtered. Fight, hack these things to death for me. Fang Hao roared. The skeletons were ordered to attack with the iron swords in their hands. The castle hall has limited space, and only part of the skeleton soldiers are squeezed in. More were blocked outside the castle, unable to get in at all, and unable to take advantage of the number of people. Bang bang bang. There are 6 bloodthirsty bat wolves in total. He swooped down and crashed directly into the group of skeletons. The giant claws tore off the defensive leather armor, and the bloody mouth shattered the skulls' heads. Once the bloodthirsty bat wolf is injured, it will fly into the air and wait for the wound to dry slowly, continue to dash down and fight the skeletons. Close up, don't spread out. Fang Hao continued to order. Scattered skeletons began to gather towards Fang Hao, using the wall behind him as a defensive point, to prevent the team from being dispersed again. Fang Hao's order also attracted the attention of the bat wolf. The nearest bat wolf left the skeleton in his hand and rushed straight towards Fang Hao. Fang Hao didn't dare to touch it. The body instantly fell to one side, dodging the attack. Boom. The bat wolf knocked several skeletons flying, and his body also slammed into the wall behind. The huge reaction force caused the bat wolf to fall into a brief dizziness. Shaking his head, his body staggered. Stupid. Hack it to death for me. Fang Hao scolded, and has already stepped forward to attack. The nearby skeleton soldiers pounced at the same time, waving their iron swords. The bat wolf's body began to have wounds, and bright red blood flowed out. A tragic cry, with flowing blood, flew into the air. Fang Hao secretly said it was a pity such an attack did not die, which is really a testament to the tenacity. Looking at the situation at the scene, the losses of the skeleton soldiers have already reached hundreds of people, and if the battle continues, it will only increase casualties. Get out and close the door for them. The skeletons would not retreat back to the castle, and before the other party had time to respond, they closed the gate of the castle directly. You guys blocked the door, I'll go back and send rescue soldiers. Chapter 25, Skeleton Transformation Field. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Hao got up from the bed after he was released from the state of imminent presence. After drinking a mouthful of cold boiling water, he walked out of the Lord's wooden house. Outside the house, the labor skeletons were still busy with their work, while the skeleton soldiers were patrolling and hunting. Open the Book of Lords and go to the Crafting column. Bone arrow, wood 1, animal bone 2. Adjust the number to 100 and select Make, triggered by 100 times increase, successfully made a bone arrow *10100. Bundles of bone arrows appeared and piled aside. Prepare 10 trolleys, load all the light crossbows with both hands to the warehouse, and bring the kobold daggers. Fang Hao commanded loudly. The few skeletons on the side immediately put down their work and went to the warehouse to load the truck. In the battle just now, Fang Hao has been thinking about countermeasures. The bloodthirsty bat wolves are of high rank, and their physical fitness far exceeds that of skeleton soldiers, but the most important thing is that it can fly. The sword and shield in the hands of the skeleton soldiers only briefly attacked at the moment when the opponent landed and attacked, but the bat wolf's movements are too fast, and the attack of the skeleton soldiers is difficult to keep up with the opponent's speed. Therefore, Fang Hao planned to change his tactics. Since you can't keep up, then give up the sword and shield. He made more than 10,000 bone arrows, and even if the attack of bone arrows was limited, grinding them could kill them. Soon, a cart loaded with 2,000 two-handed light crossbows and more than 200 kobold daggers was pushed over. This two-handed light crossbow was made when dealing with orc teams. It has been kept in the warehouse and kept with care. It's also just right. Save yourself wasting materials to make. Fang Hao once again asked the skeleton to find more than 200 slender wooden poles. The kobold dagger is firmly fixed to the top of the wooden pole with twine to form a modified version of the spear. It's a little embarrassing to say, Fang Hao has obtained the blueprint of the iron spear, but the blueprint is still in Yinfeng castle, and the production requires the Book of Lords, that is to say, only when the skeletons of Yinfeng castle come back and the blueprints are included in the Book of Lords can they be made. Fang Hao didn't want to delay the time until evening, so he gave up one of the steps. A simple modification of the dagger. A long wooden pole is fixed, and it acts as a spear. Soon, 200 daggers and spears were made. Load bone arrows and spears into the cart. Fang Hao said and walked back to the room. Recast, God's appearance, possessing the body of a skeleton soldier outside the door. 10,000 bone arrows and 200 spears, as well as 2,000 two-handed light crossbows taken out from the warehouse, were loaded onto the cart together. Everything is ready. Fang Hao set out with 3,000 skeleton soldiers and went to Yinfeng fort with a cart. The road is unobstructed. When they came to Yinfeng castle, more than 1,000 skeleton soldiers were still guarding the gate of the ancient castle. No slack. Okay, 2,000 people put down their shields, pick up light crossbows with both hands, and you guys pick up spears. Fang Hao said, 221 cobalt daggers and spears, 324 rusted iron spears, can make up 545 spears. Fang Hao's idea is also very simple. The bloodthirsty bat wolf's diving attack is very fierce, and every time it glides down, it will knock down a large number of skeletons. If the opponent's dive is not resolved, then the bowman is also difficult to function. After thinking for a long time, Fang Hao thought of the spear, blocks the opponent's dive damage. However, whether the idea is feasible still needs to be verified by actual combat. Getting everything ready, Fang Hao said, open the door. The gate of the ancient castle was opened by a gap, and Fang Hao looked in. In the battle just now, the luxurious hall was in a mess, and the 6 bloodthirsty bat wolves returned to the 6 thick stone pillars, like 6 sculptures with their eyes closed. Okay, fast forward. Fang Hao urged. The skeletons rushed into the hall with their own weapons and 10,000 bone arrows. The hall space was limited, and it instantly became crowded due to the entry of skeletons, and more remained outside the door. The actions of Fang Hao and others alarmed the bloodthirsty bat wolf who had just rested. When the bloodthirsty bat wolf opened his eyes and found these low-level skeletons, it was even more difficult to hide the anger in his heart. Let out an angry growl. Call Nima, shoot. That the bloodthirsty bat wolf just flew into the sky, and the skeletons holding the light crossbow had already pulled the trigger. Whoosh whoosh. The dense bone arrows are like a large net, shooting towards the bat wolf. In the indoor space, the incident happened suddenly, and the bat wolves didn't have time to find cover. Every bat wolf was attacked by bone arrows, and the pain was unbearable. Bat wolf Thunder was furious and launched a dive attack while the crossbowman was loading his arrows. Fang Hao was also waiting for this moment. Spear. That the skeleton soldiers turned their iron spears like forests towards the swooping bat wolves. As the first bat wolf, when he saw the spear facing him, he felt bad in his heart. It's too late to break. Immediately rushed into the spear forest. The fleshy wings were pierced, and slipped into the center of the skeleton. And the skeletal sword and shield hands interspersed in the station will naturally not give up this opportunity to take advantage of people's dangers. It was chopped with a knife, and its head was chopped into mud. The other 5 bloodthirsty bat wolves looked at the scene in horror. They never thought that after going out and coming in, these skeletons actually killed one of their companions. The iron spear was still glowing with a cold glow, and the blood of his companion slid down the spear shaft. After just a few seconds, the new crossbow bolts are loaded again. Put. Whoosh whoosh. The rain of arrows roared out again, filling the bat wolves with arrows like porcupines. The damage of the bone arrow is limited, but it can still penetrate the body of the bat wolf. Occasionally, a few arrows will pierce the fleshy wings and shoot a hole. The bat wolves were covered in blood, and just as they were about to dive and attack, they were immediately forced back by the spear. Put. Whoosh whoosh. Put. Whizzing. After the 4th round of arrow rain, the bat wolves finally couldn't bear it anymore, and they rushed over desperately with blood dripping from their bodies. The spear stabbed out again, piercing their bodies, and the rest of the sword and shield soldiers made up for it. Soon, the battle lasted for nearly an hour and finally ended. Throw the body out. Fang Hao said. The ferocious 5th Order bat wolf is indeed a little embarrassed. He obviously possessed overwhelming power, but Fang Hao killed him with a combination of arms. 6 huge bat wolf corpses were dragged outside, leaving bright red bloodstains along the road. Silence returned to the hall. Fang Hao stepped on the arrow shafts all over the ground, like walking on dry grass, and there was a rattling sound when he landed. This time, Fang Hao had a real understanding of the importance of the ranks of arms. The 5th Order bloodthirsty bat wolves had beaten hundreds of 1st Order skeleton soldiers, and they were powerless to fight back. In the final victory, Fang Hao had a lot of tricks. It would be difficult to achieve this effect with any other lord. In the early days of the territory, the bloodthirsty bat wolf was encountered, and there was only one dead end. Search for me and see if there is anything good on the first floor. Fang Hao ordered loudly, arranged 6 fifth-order troops for him. He can't do it, there are no good things here. Soon, the skeleton soldiers turned the hall on the first floor upside down. Several items were sent to Fang Hao. Get architectural blueprint, skeleton transformation field. Chapter 26, Life is Sick. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Skull transformation field, blue, dot category, architectural drawings, required materials, 500 wood, 500 stone, 50 hemp rope, 5 shadow stone, 2 traces of death. Description: the skeleton transformation field can transform the buried creatures/skeletons into the skeleton soldiers in the field, unlock the troops, and consume the corresponding number of sacrifices for recruitment. Sure enough, Fang Hao was not disappointed. After defeating the fifth-order arms, a blue architectural blueprint was obtained. The introduction is good. Dead creatures can be buried and transformed into corresponding skeleton units. After the first transformation, the building will be recorded, and then the corresponding number of sacrifices can be used to recruit. The sacrifice refers to the wriggling spine, and it is still unclear whether there will be new recruitment sacrifices in the future. It's a very nice drawing, it's just that the Book of the Lord is not on him now, so he can only keep it and collect it when he goes back. There are no other loot in the hall, carpets, lampstands and other decorations. When they leave, they are carrying out a carpet-like search. Come with me to the second floor. Fang Hao ordered 10 skeletons, climbed the stairs, and walked to the second floor. It's not that he doesn't want to bring more people, but the space on the second floor is small and divided into rooms one by one. With so many people, even if there is a battle, it is difficult to rely on the tactics of the sea to fight. Fang Hao brought several skeletons, search room by room. The rooms on the second floor are well furnished, but it can be seen that no one has lived there for a long time. There was a thick layer of dust on the furniture. Go to the last room on the second floor. It is a study, beautifully carved tables and chairs, and blue curtains with a full sense of falling, all of which can be seen that the owner of the castle loves this study. After finding out that there is no danger, Fang Hao strode into it. The bookshelves are neatly stocked with books, as well as some of the original owner's favorite decorations. A golden lampstand is placed on the desk, as well as half-turned books. On the lampstand is a luminous stone, same as for stair sconces. Luminous stone. Category, or, a note, or with condensing light function will emit soft light at night or in the dark. Good guy, night pearl, this is it. So, let's see if there is anything good. Fang Hao said, picking up the books on the table and taking a look. The lords came to this world and were also given some abilities by the system. It can communicate normally with various races, and can understand the characters of many races. Not to cross over and completely decouple from this world. Skeleton soldiers, start rummaging around. Fang Hao was attracted by the first sentence of the book. Life is a cancer, but I've found a cure for it. The prompt sounded, to collect clues to the immortality potion, January 5th. This time Fang Hao was interested. For humans, immortality, or immortality, is always attractive. If you talk about the original world, you can see this kind of remarks. Fang Hao will decisively throw it aside and call the police, but after crossing into this world, it is full of different races and powerful creatures. He belongs to the undead camp, and skeletons can stand up and speak. So the immortality potion is not a lie. Then, if the strength allows, it may be possible to collect clues about the immortality potion. Have a look around this book. Also learn some news about this world. To the Eternal Night Legion I saw before. Among them, Eternal Night represents the vampire camp, and the undead camp to which he belongs is called Immortality. Both control undead, but the alignment is not the same. After reading it, put the book away and search for items. The search for the skeletons is not civilized. Perhaps in their orders, they only searched for treasures, and they did not take such orders lightly. Soon the room became a mess, and Fang Hao had 2 more props in his hands. Orientation transmission scroll. Healing potion. War coin *27. Bloodstone *5. Apart from the furniture in the study, there are not many precious spoils. Got a magic scroll. Transmission scroll. Category, magic scroll. Description, the target point can be recorded and transferred to the target point area after use. The teleportation scroll is somewhat like the city return scroll in the game he used to play. After use, it will be sent to the designated location. Not bad, not necessarily when you can use it. Put away the teleportation scroll and move on to the next item, healing potion. Category, pharmacy, description, can heal certain injuries. Fang Hao looked at it and put away the healing potion. Everyone traveled to this world, without a hospital or a doctor. Some minor illnesses may kill you here. Just like a previous player, he was attacked by prairie wolves outside the territory. Although he rushed into the protective cover alive, he also suffered serious injuries. At that time, if there is a therapeutic agent, it can play a great role, and the injury will recover better and faster. More protection. There are 27 war coins in the drawer of the desk. Living in such a big old castle, it is really enough to keep so much money. Bloodstone. Type, or, description, rare ores required for the construction of bloodline faction buildings. Bloodstone works the same as Shadowstone. The difference is that the Shadowstone is the material of the Undead camp building, and the Bloodstone is the material of the Blood clan. Okay, follow me upstairs. The castle has only 3 floors, but the rooms on each floor are much higher than normal buildings. The lifts in the hall on the first floor have a height of 6 or 7 meters. Each room on the second floor is also more than 4 meters tall. The skeleton soldiers put down the items in their hands and followed Fang Hao out of the room. Continue up the stairs. On the stairs on the third floor, there are 2 sculptures with long mouths and fangs. Some are like the bloodthirsty bat wolves I met on the first floor, but they are much smaller than the bloodthirsty bat wolves, and their bodies are not too huge. Although the sculpture is fierce, it is also covered with a layer of dust because it has not been cleaned for a long time. Climb up to the third floor and walk a few steps forward. Stop in front of a room. The tall door is carved with exquisite patterns, and there are various flowers and plants, as well as figures of different shapes. Although it is not as good as the gate of the castle, it is still tall and stocky. This door, it looks like it's worth the money. With a little force, the wooden door did not move at all. Only the dust remaining on the door fell on Fang Hao's head because of the shaking. Let's push the door open together. Fang Hao took a step back and let the skeletons behind him do it. So many little brothers don't need it. Where do you need to do it yourself? A few skeletons behind them stepped forward and pushed together to the door. With a burst of dust falling, the wooden door was slowly opened with a gap. Fang Hao tilted his head and looked inward along the crack of the door. Into the eye is a huge black coffin. Stop! Fang Hao shouted in a low voice. According to the monsters encountered before, item descriptions, and some portraits hanging on the walls of the castle, it can be concluded that the owner of this castle belongs to the blood clan of the Yonye clan, and in the gorgeous master bedroom, with such a beautiful coffin, he had to wonder if a vampire was sleeping in the coffin. But the fighting outside was so intense that the gates of the castle were demolished. 10 years of deafness, you should have heard it. You wait at the door. Fang Hao entered through the gap in the door and walked lightly towards the curtains. Chapter 27, Ring of Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Following the gap, Fang Hao entered the room sideways. The bedroom is large and decorated in a very elegant and luxurious way. In the middle of the room, there was an unusually gorgeous black gold wire coffin. It is still very rare to be able to make a coffin so gorgeous and publicized. Even if Fang Hao doesn't know about coffins, he can see from the materials and workmanship that this is definitely a good coffin. Fang Hao just glanced at it for a moment, then quickly walked to the window of the room. His idea is also very simple. It is to draw all the curtains in the room to let the sunlight in. If there really is a vampire lying inside, let the sun punish him. Fang Hao vaguely remembered that vampires are afraid of sunlight. Also garlic and silverware pipes don't work. If time permits, he wanted to go back first, collect a large amount of garlic in the channel and hang the coffin all around, not giving him any chance. Swish! Fang Hao thought about it and opened the heavy curtain. Seeing the window, Fang Hao was slightly taken aback. The windows of the castle are not transparent, but like the gate, they are 2 closed door panels. Open the door again, and the sun shines into the room. On the wall, the luminous stone on the roof gradually dimmed due to the entry of sunlight. Open all the windows one after another, and the dazzling sunlight instantly brightens the room. All come in. Fang Hao said hello, and several skeleton soldiers outside the door walked quickly and didn't understand. Open the coffin. The skeletons stand on both sides of the coffin lid and hold the lid with both hands. under the combined force, the coffin lid was pulled open a gap. Fang Hao hurriedly looked inside, empty. The lid of the coffin was completely opened, but inside, there was no imaginary vampire lying there. It was an empty coffin. Thinking about it, if there is such a big movement, even if you are afraid of the sun, you should wake up. Exquisite corpse-raising coffin, blue, category, corpse-raising coffin, description, the corpse-raising coffin of the Yongye family, lying in it can instantly calm your mind and nourish your spiritual power. Whoops. Coffins also have properties, it's just, that somewhat unlucky. Fang Hao doesn't know if you nourish your spiritual power or not. However, with such a sealed coffin, closing the lid will definitely suffocate to death, and there is no need to come out at that time, just bury it directly on the way, very convenient and easy to use. Cover it. Fang Hao said, the coffin is of rare blue quality, but he doesn't need it. He will see if he can sell it to other vampires when he has a chance in the future. Next, is the stage of looting items. The skeletons found a dark room next door to the room. Inside is a golden treasure chest. I'm going, golden. In the center of the dark room, there was a treasure chest with a faint golden glow. This was the first time Fang Hao came to this world and saw a golden treasure chest. The most advanced one he had encountered before was only a black iron treasure chest. This sudden rise to gold caught him a little off guard. Rubbing his hands, he prayed to the gods in his heart, bless yourself with good luck today and get good equipment. Open the treasure chest. Obtained, city wall construction blueprint, guardian pavilion construction blueprint, exquisite corpse coffin production blueprint, blue, hardwood production blueprint, flame ring, blue, war coin plus 120, bloodstone plus 40. The golden treasure chest did not disappoint. 3 blueprints and a piece of blue equipment were given out, and even there were 120 war coins. The appearance of the great city makes the war fire coin useful, but Fang Hao has yet to find a way to obtain war coin stably. The first level city wall construction drawings, 1200 for wood, 500 for stone, 300 for thatch, and 800 for hemp rope. The first level city wall construction material is much higher than other buildings. But when you think about it, it makes sense. The city wall needs to enclose the buildings in the territory, and naturally consumes more materials. Guarding the pavilion. Category, special building, required materials, wood 500, stone 300, thatch 120, hemp rope 100. Description, the troops/heroes placed in the guarding pavilion have all attributes plus 2%, and can perceive all dangers in the guarded area. The Guardian Pavilion is a special building. The word guardian does not refer to guarding territory, but guarding a specific location. That is to say, by building guard pavilions in key areas, troops or heroes can be placed to guard this area. If Fang Hao was to build a pavilion, his first consideration would be to build it in front of the Lord's wooden building. At that time, when the protective cover in the territory disappears, his own safety can also be improved a lot. Hardboard, wood 2. Exquisite corpse coffin, 12 hardwood, 6 leather, 5 cotton, 6 high-quality cloth. Good guy, this is going to let me open a coffin shop. I don't know this world, the funeral industry is not hot. Ring of flame, blue, category, ring, skill, flame fireball, description, a ring with destructive power. Flaming fireball, shoots a violent fireball at the target, inflicting third-level damage to the enemy and continuous burning damage, cooling for 1 hour. It was a magic ring, can use magic known as flaming fireball. This made Fang Hao overjoyed. He also has a certain attack power. Overall, he was quite satisfied with this castle adventure. Not only have they harvested the shadow stone in short supply, but also many blueprints and flame rings. To a large extent, it has improved his strength and the chance of surviving. Fang Hao put away his belongings and walked down the stairs. You all come in, and move everything you can take away to the courtyard. Fang Hao said loudly to the skeleton soldiers who had been on standby. The territory is like a dilapidated mountain village. Now that everything feels good, it is natural to take it all away. All the skeleton soldiers walked in and began to carry the items in the castle out. Boom. Suddenly, Fang Hao, who was walking out of the hall, stumbled over the square stone under his feet. Although this skeleton body does not feel pain, it can still feel the strength just now. Stone bricks, building materials, kindness. Fang Hao's heart moved. Follow the stone bricks and look up. There is a gap above the gate. which was dropped when fighting the bloodthirsty bat wolf. Because of the limited space in the room, it is difficult for the skeleton legion to take advantage of the crowd. Therefore, Fang Hao ordered to directly remove the gate of the castle. Because of abnormal disassembly, the stone bricks fell off at this time. So, do you have the upgrade materials? Fang Hao murmured after thinking for a while. To upgrade the level 4 Lord Chalet, the required material is stone bricks. The blueprints for stone bricks have never been obtained, and no one has heard of anyone in the channel getting stone bricks, or stone brick blueprints. Therefore, when I saw the stone brick at this time, I had an idea in my heart: demolish the castle. With such a large castle, it is possible to dismantle a lot of stone bricks. Thinking about it in my heart, I released the God's presence. State again, wake up from the bedroom. Fang Hao rubbed his tired temples. In the state of God's presence, it is still too stressful, especially when fighting continuously. Get out of the house and start greeting all the busy labor skeletons. In the previous battles, labor skeletons also participated. The original number of 2,000 has also been reduced to about 1,700. Even so, Fang Hao's available labor is still far more than other lords. The number of peasants of other lords is only between 5 and 10. It's almost incomparable to 1,007. Come with me with tools and a flatbed. Chapter 28, The Great Cause of Demolition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Hao walked out of the territory with the labor skeletons. The team was like a long and slender dragon, with carts and tools, and marched in the direction of Yinfeng Castle. In the territory, the quantity of wood and stone is already in excess. The mining of skeletons, plus the daily sale of food exchange materials, it has far exceeded the current needs of the development of the territory. Even outside the territory, Fang Hao deliberately encircled an open space with a wooden fence, dedicated to stacking excess basic materials. Anyway, no one stole these materials and no one took them, and they were not afraid of losing them. Therefore, after discovering the way to get stone bricks, Fang Hao transferred all the labor skeletons except for farming. Suspend the collection of basic resources, first demolish the castle, and collect stone bricks. This time, Fang Hao did not use the presence of God, but personally led the team to the castle. Controlling skeletons to fight before consumes a lot of mental power. In addition, the castle has eliminated all the monsters, so there is no need to worry about any danger. Lie on the scooter and give the skeleton a direction. Soon, a group of horses came to the castle. At this time, there was already a mess in the courtyard of the old castle. All the furniture and items in the castle were moved out and piled up into a hill. Bend over to pull out the crushed copper lampstand, which appears to have been scrapped. Obviously the skeleton soldiers can execute the loot command, but they can't tell the value of the item and how to place it so that it won't damage the item. But there is no way. The intelligence of the skeleton is not high, and it is not bad to be able to achieve the current situation. All the blueprints obtained will be entered into the Book of Lords. The obtained scrolls, bloodstones, and other props are put into the backpack. The backpack is not a system backpack, but he made it himself with leather ropes. The ring of flame is directly carried on the left hand. The left palm is spread out, secretly saying "Flaming Fireball" in his heart. Call. A fist-sized fireball with rising flames hovered above the palm, exuding fiery temperature, but the left hand could not feel any high temperature and burning sensation. Go. Without looking at a dilapidated stone tablet not far away, he raised his left hand, and the fireball shot out instantly. Boom. A muffled sound. The flaming fireball instantly hit the target steel. The terrifying destructive force blew the stone tablet across its waist. Even if there was no combustible material, the surface of the stone tablet still burned for about 3 minutes. Yes, the power is good. Fang Hao nodded with satisfaction when he saw the power of the fireball. After use, Flaming Fireball begins a 1-hour cooldown. After testing the power of the ring, Fang Hao turned his attention to the worker skeleton on standby. Climb the steps higher and speak loudly to the skeleton below. Okay, your next job is to dismantle the castle and classify the materials. He mobilized all the laborers to try to collect enough upgrade materials in the shortest time. The labor skeletons began to move, picking up the hoe on the trolley and starting to move. You are in charge of the scooters and transport all the goods back to the territory. Fang Hao left behind 5,000 skeleton soldiers. of which 1,000 were responsible for truck transportation and transported the materials collected by the labor skeletons back to the territory. The rest are responsible for nearby security, mainly some wandering beasts of Warcraft. It is hard to say that they will not come to harass. The skeleton soldiers put all the furniture in the courtyard of the castle onto the trolley, and pulled them towards the territory. Fang Hao boarded the scooter again, opened the Book of Lords, and passed the time. Just after opening the Book of Lords, there were several private messages. Fang Hao, do you still have the iron pot? You can use the traces of the earth, change the walk. The traces of the earth appeared when the blue-level spiritual field was built, but most people don't know the purpose of this material, and even if they get it, they have nowhere to use it. Fang Hao thought about it and said, there are a lot of materials for making iron pots. You are adding a piece of iron. I will go back and make one for you. The other party was silent for a while, and then replied, okay, when will it be done? 20 minutes, I'm in the wild now, waiting to go back. Okay, thank you Fang Hao. Currently, drawings are still scarce, items made from scarce blueprints have become sought-after items. There is no shortage of people who have obtained scarce drawings, and the finished products will be charged sky-high prices. Compared with these people, what Fang Hao is selling is much more reasonable, but they didn't know that, with the blessing of a hundredfold increase, no matter how Fang Hao sold it, he would make some money. Disconnect the first person, and the second private chat. Liangzi, I want to exchange some iron axes with you. Pretty boy. Are you there? Pretty boy, isn't something wrong? Because Fang Hao was in a state of divine presence before, he manipulated the skeleton soldiers to fight the monsters in the castle, did not notice private chat messages. This person actually sent several messages one after another, which seemed to be in a hurry. Yes, iron axe is fine, how much do you want to exchange? Fang Hao replied at this time. 15 iron axes, according to the price, 45 units of iron, right? The other party replied immediately. It seems that the other party also happens to be using the Book of Lords. Fang Hao was slightly taken aback when he heard the other party's offer, although it has been a few days since crossing this world. But it is rare to be able to take out so much iron in one go. It seems that the other party has a way to obtain iron resources stably. No problem, about 20 minutes, I'll do it for you when you return to the territory. Fang Hao said. Okay. By the way, is it convenient to reveal how you got so much iron ore? Fang Hao asked again. Iron is not a scarce resource, but it's really hard to come by right now. There's nothing to hide. I found an iron ore spot near the territory. You can collect some resources. By the way, do you have an iron pickaxe there? I can exchange it. After explaining, the person immediately added another sentence, in exchange for 15 iron axes. Not all of them are used for logging, part of it is used to arm the militia warriors. After all, iron axes are already considered weapons in their place. I don't have the blueprint for the iron axe yet, so I'll make the iron axe, and I'll contact you when the time comes. Okay, thanks. Turn off the chat between the two. The convoy has approached the territory. Just as I was about to see what everyone was talking about on the public channel, there were angry shouts of killing in the distance. The skeletons near the territory don't shout. With that said, there's a fight going on nearby. Fang Hao's heart tightened, and he immediately stood on the roof and looked in the direction of the sound. Sure enough, in the distance near the territory, the team driving the carriage has been surrounded by skeleton soldiers near the territory. Fierce fighting took place. In the battle of the skeleton soldiers who were not afraid of death, the opponents suffered heavy casualties, and it was a matter of time before they were all destroyed. You will transport the spoils to the storage area outside the territory. Fang Hao jumped off the trolley and instructed. The skeleton soldiers who pulled the goods continued to rush to the territory. Fang Hao walked towards the fighting area. Okay, stop the attack and surround them. Fang Hao's voice sounded. All the skeleton soldiers stopped slashing and surrounded the enemy in front of them. Chapter 29, Pig-Headed Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is a team of pig-headed people. Because of the battle just now, he was gasping for breath, staring at the skeleton soldiers who surrounded them with red eyes. They are a village caravan. Ship items from the village to the Manim Orc Market for exchange. When passing here, I saw this territory and a large number of materials surrounded by wooden fences outside the territory. The greedy pig-headed people have a crooked idea, and plan to take the opportunity to go along and ship them to the market together to sell at a good price. Unexpectedly, when stealing resources, they were discovered by the patrolling skeleton soldiers. The two sides fought. The sound of fierce fighting attracted other skeleton soldiers nearby. When the pig-headed people reacted, they were already surrounded by a dense sea of skeletons. No matter how they fought back, they didn't rush out. In the ongoing battle, one's own side suffered heavy casualties, and there were only 20 people left in the team of 100 people. Just when they were heartbroken and were about to give up and wait for death, the skeletons stopped attacking, but stood there in a daze. Surrounding them in the middle, the pig-headed people looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. Just when considering whether to take this opportunity to kill, the skeleton soldiers in front of them suddenly separated from left and right, making way for a road for people to pass through. In the next second, shock appeared in the pig-headed man's eyes. I saw a young human man, passing through the group of skeletons, and finally standing in front of himself and others, looking at it curiously. "Why are you here?" Fang Hao asked solemnly. The pig-headed people immediately realized that this human might make them survive, and immediately replied, "Dear sir, my name is Parker, I am the captain of this caravan, and I had some misunderstandings with your soldiers when passing through this place." The pig-headed man at the head kept looking at Fang Hao and the skeleton soldiers with a pair of eyes. "I can't understand in my heart why a human being can tend to the undead." "Oh. Is that so?" Fang Hao smiled slightly, and his eyes fell on the carriage behind him. This group of pig-headed people carried 5 carriages, 4 of which were covered with oily skins to block the sun, and one was all kinds of scattered materials. There's fur, leather armor, a tub, and a whole bunch of tools. Obviously, the reason for the fighting between the two sides is not as simple as what the pig-headed Parker said. These pig-headed men took the supplies outside the territory before they fought with the skeleton soldiers. Parker noticed Fang Hao's gaze, and he couldn't hide it. He explained again, "We didn't know that this was your material and made a wrong decision. We are willing to make compensation. Whatever you say now may arouse the other party's disgust," and Parker directly chose to offer compensation. Orcs are a warlike and greedy race, but they are also a race of the strongest. Everything depends on strength. Hearing the compensation, Fang Hao looked better. "Come on, let's talk in another place," Fang Hao said. The corpses on the ground and the strong smell of blood in the air are obviously not suitable for long conversations here. Fang Hao turned and walked towards the territory. Parker and other pig-headed people followed behind, surrounded by a large number of skeleton soldiers. When he came to the open space in front of the territory, Fang Hao sat down on a stone. Parker and the others stood there respectfully, with their huge pig heads carefully peeking at Fang Hao's territory. "Are you a caravan?" Fang Hao asked curiously. "Yes, my lord," Parker replied. "Is your cargo on the carriage?" "Where is the cargo going?" Fang Hao continued to ask. He doesn't know enough about the world. Of course, it's not bad to have someone to talk to and chat with. "We're going to deliver the goods to the Manim market, in exchange for some other material," Parker said one by one. "Manim market?" Fang Hao was slightly taken aback. He seems to have seen this name before. He obtained a map in the Kobold camp before, and the name is Manim Market. Opening the Book of Lords, sure enough, on the map page, the location of Manim Market has been marked. Yes, a peaceful trading market established by orcs. Orcs are all soldiers, and like to plunder and fight. The various tribes communicated with each other, and they also attacked each other. Therefore, the Manim Orc Market was established and formulated its own rules. In the market, fighting and plundering are not allowed, and all transactions must be voluntary. The orcs also obeyed the rules and carried the surplus goods of each tribe to the market in exchange for goods or currency. "Can anyone go to this market?" Fang Hao continued to ask. Although not much to say, the meaning is very simple, just asking if I can go. Parker looked at Fang Hao, and then looked at the large number of undead skeletons around him. Some uneasy answers. This is a bit difficult. Fang Hao nodded slightly, expressing his understanding. "Okay, let's talk about the compensation you are willing to pay. After all, I killed you, these goods are still mine." Fang Hao's voice became serious again. Parker wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the skeleton soldiers around him again. After swallowing, he gritted his teeth and said, "We are willing to leave a carload of goods as compensation. Do you think it's okay?" "Oh. Then it also depends on what cargo is loaded." The oil skins on the carriage were lifted one by one, revealing the boxes of goods inside: 2 carts of furs, 1 cart of iron ore in boxes, 1 cart of stolen Fang Hao's resources, and the last cart was an iron cage holding a weak pig-headed man. Fang Hao didn't care too much, and didn't ask too much. After thinking about it, he nodded in agreement. The other party's attitude is quite sincere, and they are willing to compensate, and they may not really want to kill them. "Okay, I agree, I want a truckload of ore," Fang Hao said. Hearing that Fang Hao wanted iron ore, the expressions of several pig-headed people such as Parker changed instantly. What he meant was paying for the fur as compensation. After all, the mining difficulty and scarcity of ore are far more than fur. For orcs, mining is much more difficult than hunting. Respected adults, don't you consider fur? Fur not only keeps out the cold, but can also be made into armor. Parker persuaded softly, trying to guide Fang Hao to choose fur. "Why, you don't want to?" Fang Hao's expression suffocated, and he instantly cooled down. In his heart, he was weighing whether to kill these pig-headed people, so as to occupy all the goods. After all, there are thousands of orcs who died in his hands. Not bad for these new additions. The coldness in Fang Hao's words made the pig-headed people tremble in their hearts. This young human is definitely not as peaceful as it looks, giving people a strong sense of oppression. "Yes, whichever you choose, we'll give it to you," Parker said hurriedly. "Okay, pull the goods of these 2 carriages to the warehouse," Fang Hao said. The skeleton soldiers pulled the reins of the horses and pulled the carriage containing the ore and its own resources down to the cargo storage area. The carriage was pulled away, and the pig-headed people were distressed but could not do anything about it. Only in this way can you change your chance of life. Captain Parker rolled his eyes, and his eyes fell behind the territory. There's a group of skeletons unloading the cargo. There are carpets, portraits, furniture, and rare luminous stones. A turn in the mind. With a peaceful smile again, he said, "Dear sir, I listen to your thoughts. I also want to go to Manam Market to sell goods. If possible, we may be able to do some transactions." Chapter 30, Skeleton Spearmen. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. Based on human life expectancy, Fang Hao is not very old. At such a young age, and in such a barren forest, he must have little knowledge. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have heard of the Manam Orc Market. Then find a way to buy these items at a low price and transport them to the Manam Market, and you can definitely make a lot of money. Those few luminous stones are worth more than the few cars of fur and ores. Thinking about it, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Oh. Then what do you fancy, and what price are you planning to offer?" Fang Hao was interested at this time. The transactions between the lords can no longer satisfy him to obtain more resources and blueprints. It must cooperate and trade with local forces to speed up its own development, to be able to get what he wants. Fang Hao will not refuse to trade with these people. Hearing that Fang Hao did not directly refuse, Parker was overjoyed. "I thought to myself, I killed so many of Lao Tzu's men and detained a truckload of goods, and Lao Tzu made all the money back." His heart was ruthless, but he still kept a smile on his face. Take a step forward and say, "Those old rugs, like those old rugs, the stones that just shine with no use, or your rings and necklaces." Parker deliberately added old and useless to the items as a description. Highlight that these items are not of high value. Fang Hao's expression remained unchanged, and he said, "Then give us an estimate." Parker paused for a while, as if he was making an estimate, and then said, "I'll use a carload of furs for the carpet and those stones, and I'll suffer a little for your rings and necklaces. I'll use a carload of furs and 5 more gold coin." The pig-headed man Parker gritted his teeth, as if he had suffered a loss in this transaction, and hear the other party's offer. Fang Hao raised a kind of anger. This is thinking of himself as a fool, using a pile of ordinary cheap goods. Just want to exchange the carpet and luminous stone that he got. Although I don't know the value of carpets and luminous stones, it is definitely not something that these furs can be exchanged for. Handmade money is not enough. Second, his necklace and ring, which are props with special abilities, are only 5 gold coins. Fraud gangs also have to cooperate with acting, and I will open my mouth to cheat, to contempt for people. Seeing that Fang Hao was silent, Parker asked again, Sir, what do you think? Although fur is a basic resource, it plays a great role in the construction of the territory. We exchange goods, we also risk shipping, and you don't have to do anything to complete the transaction. It's definitely a good deal for you. Parker was chattering on the side. The more he estimated the value of this shipment in his heart, the happier he was. If they can make a deal and ship it to the Mana market, then they will definitely make a profit. The benefits obtained are hundreds of thousands of times more than the sale of furs and iron or basic resources. How can it compare to these exquisite items? As well as the expensive magic jewelry on this human kid. Fang Hao didn't want to talk nonsense with him, and said directly, okay, you can go. Parker was taken aback. What's going on? Everything is going well. The other party will change his face if he changes his face. Sir, are you not satisfied with the price? Parker asked hurriedly. Okay, while I haven't changed my mind, you'd better leave. Fang Hao reminded again, got up and walked into the territory. Parker also realized at this time that his own thoughts were definitely penetrated by the other party. If you continue to stay, I am afraid that you will anger the other party. Glancing at the back of Fang Hao's departure, he glanced greedily at the goods not far away, and ordered, let's go. The pig-headed people drove the carriage away and embarked on the road to continue. Captain, let's just leave like this. Just give them the goods for nothing. After leaving a long distance, a pig-headed man approached, his voice unwilling. Leave here first, and get it back at night with a profit. A stern look flashed in Parker's unsquinted eyes. The favor and compensation just now are just means of survival. An orc warrior who never abandons his plans for a brief failure. At the same time, he laughed at the naivety of this human lord, but he actually only detained the cargo of his own car and let him and these people leave. Just when Parker was thinking about his revenge plan, a voice sounded from the carriage. Parker, I advise you not to provoke that human again. It will never be easy for someone who can have a relationship with the undead. The voice was low and weak. The oil skin of the carriage was lifted off a corner, revealing the iron cage above. In the iron cage was an old pig-headed man. His hands and feet were bound and his body was wounded. Shut up, old man, it's not your turn to tell the team now. Parker scolded and ordered the team members, go into the forest and hide, and at night, bring everything back. It is good. The pig-headed people responded in unison and began to prepare. The other side, Fang Hao returned to the territory and sat down on the bench. The pig-headed man left him with nearly 120 units of iron, which just increased the stock of iron resources. Without rest, he began to make iron pots. When he came back, he agreed to the trade of iron pot and iron axe. There are surpluses in the iron axe warehouse, which can be put on the shelves directly, but the iron pot still needs to be made. Triggered by 100 times increase, successfully made an iron pot *101. Chat with the two of them privately, put the promised items on the shelves directly, and complete the transaction. After returning to the bedroom to drink water, continue the construction of the territory. This castle experience, it can be considered to meet the vacancies of many upgrade materials. The number of shadow stones can improve the level of the buried ground. Second level burial ground, wood 500. Stone 720, leather 80, hemp rope 120, shadow stone 5. Shadow stones are really hard to get. According to Fang Hao's preliminary understanding, this kind of resource will only appear in some places where the dead are buried. It also indirectly hinders the development of the territory. Didn't think much about it. Fang Hao directly chose to upgrade. The light flashed, and the upgrade of the buried ground was completed. Second grade burial ground, available to recruit. Skeleton soldiers. Skull soldiers, creeping spine *1. Note, you can recruit troops of your own faction in this building. Raising the building level can unlock new soldier types and higher ranks of troops. Materials required for upgrading, wood 700, stone 1200, leather 120, hemp rope 300, shadow stone 8. After the upgrade, Fang Hao still had 13 shadow stones left in his hand. Might as well get a level up. Select upgrade again. The burial ground was shrouded in light again. After a few seconds, the building is complete. Level 3 bone burial ground, available to recruit. skeleton soldiers / skull spearmen, skull soldiers, creeping spine *1. Note, you can recruit troops of your own faction in this building. Raising the building level can unlock new soldier types and higher ranks of troops. Materials required for the upgrade: wood 1700, stone 2200, leather 350, hemp rope 500, shadow stone 12. It is good. Fang Hao was overjoyed when he saw the newly added skeleton spearmen in the recruitable column. Recruit 1 to see the properties first. Are you consuming the wriggling spine *1 to recruit skeleton spearmen? Recruit. Triggered by a hundredfold increase, successfully recruited skeleton spearmen *101.